Today I'm reacting to your wrestling hot takes. This is a weekly video series where I give you all a platform to be able to voice your thoughts, good or bad, about the current world of professional wrestling. So if you want to have your voice heard in next week's hot takes video, make sure that you're following me on X. The link will be in the description of this video. I ask for your hot takes on there every Thursday or Friday. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know you're gonna fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. And if you want to make sure that my videos continue to appear on your feed, make sure you leave a like and a comment. That tells YouTube that you like this stuff and it'll keep showing it to you. Let's read some stupid shit though. Get rid of the Money in the Bank. It served its purpose already and hasn't created a star in a long time. I don't want them to get rid of the Money in the Bank briefcase because it's just such a fun concept and it always gives us two really enjoyable ladder matches as well, both a men's and a women's ladder match. I also really like the concept of theorizing who's going to win the Money in the Bank briefcase, when they're going to cash in, who they're going to cash in on. All that to me is really fun, but I will kind of agree with you that it hasn't created a star in a long time, but I also disagree with you. So what I'm going to say is that the Money in the Bank briefcase hasn't created a mega star in a really long time, kind of like Edge or Seth Rollins. It has, however, helped middle of the line talent elevate themselves to the main event scene, even if they don't become super uber mega stars. Just look at like the line of most recent men's and women's winners. Like for example, Io Sky, it definitely elevated her. It definitely put her on the main event scene to win the Money in the Bank briefcase. But yeah, it didn't put her in the same echelon of megastars like Charlotte, like Becky Lynch, like Bianca Belair, etc. Damian Priest hasn't really worked for him either. Austin Theory definitely didn't work for him. Liv Morgan, I think it did the job for Liv Morgan in terms of elevating her from middle of the line to somebody that can participate in the main event scene. Big E, but prior to his injury, I think it served the purpose of putting him in the main event scene. I don't think it worked for Nikki ASH, didn't work for Otis. Asuka didn't need the briefcase. Brock Lesnar didn't need the briefcase. You get the point. If you continue to go back to all of the winners of the Money in the Bank briefcase, sure, they aren't all Seth Rollinses and they aren't all Edges, they aren't all CM Punks, but it has helped their careers tremendously to win the briefcase. But I will say, it hasn't created a megastar in a very, very long time, but I don't want to see the Money in the Bank briefcase concept go away. Roman Reigns is the superstar of the year. The aura he has each and every time he comes out to the ring is insane. I'm guessing you're referring to Roman Reigns being shortlisted in the Slammy Awards for Male Superstar of the Year. I will say, if he was shortlisted for Male Aura of the Year, then sure, yeah, give that award to Roman Reigns. But in my opinion, not only should Roman Reigns not win Male Superstar of the Year, I don't think he should have been nominated at all. I don't think that he should be in the same realm of people like Seth Rollins, like Gunther, like Cody Rhodes, that were there day in and day out, working their asses off, working house shows, and being there every single time that we needed a big marquee name to have a big marquee match. Because Roman Reigns just wasn't around. He wasn't around. Like, we can't, for example, in basketball, give the MVP to somebody that plays, I don't know, 10 games out of the 84 game season. That's just not possible. Again, is it cool when we get Roman Reigns? Is it awesome? Does it feel special? Is the aura there? Absolutely. I'm with you. No disagreement. But Superstar of the Year should be the MVP of the WWE, and Roman Reigns was not that in 2023. I'll be honest, if night 2 of Mania doesn't keep up the momentum from night 1, at what point do we have the conversation about going back to a one-night WrestleMania with 10 matches total combined between the pre-show and the main card? When do we start having that conversation? Probably never. Financially, the WWE is never going to go back to a one-night WrestleMania. Two-night WrestleManias just make so much more money, and they have so much more of an economic impact to whatever city it is that they're bidding WrestleMania for. But if you really, really want the nostalgia of a one-night WrestleMania, just go back to WrestleMania 35. You'll change your mind real quick, and you're going to want that two-night again. I personally really like the 2 nights of WrestleMania. I like the idea of not having to sit there for 7+ hours, and I like the idea of 2 nights giving way more people the opportunity to be showcased on WrestleMania. But I hear you. I always do believe that night 2 should be more hype than night 1 and should not only carry on the momentum from night one, but build up on it. That was kind of the problem with WrestleMania 39, where night one was just so much better than night two. So you have to find this happy balance where night one is still awesome, it's still hype, but night two continues to build on that and ends up even better. So when do we have the conversation? Never. It should never go back to one night. The segment where LA Knight showed up at AJ Styles' house was the best segment of the night. You know, on an episode of SmackDown where it was advertised that we were finally gonna get Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes facing off, I agree with you. That completely outshined those two main eventers trying to hype up their WrestleMania Night 2 match. That LA Knight AJ Styles home invasion or yard fight was just absolutely fantastic. I love the fact that they used the in-police cruiser footage of LA Knight. I love the fact that they had body cam footage for the police officers. I hope that they continue to take this a step further and maybe they show LA Knight at trial. He's being sentenced to something, which absolutely would be hilarious. I think the only thing that would have made this better is if he was honking the Slim Jim card. I feel like that's the only thing that could have made that segment better. Honestly, that feud between LA Knight and AJ Styles really needed that moment, and it's got me so much more hyped for their WrestleMania match. Roman versus Cody 2 is the worst built WrestleMania main event of all time, due to them pivoting and them primarily focusing on the tag match. I made an entire video about this, and a lot of people in the comments were disagreeing with me, and I feel like a lot of those people in the comments are starting to see my point. They were doing a very, very good job of building night one, and they think that they were hoping that all of the buildup of night one would just by osmosis or something also help build up night two, but that's just not the case. You have to remove all of the elements of the people that are involved in night one and just build the night two main event with some segments here or there. And I feel like they failed with the most recent segment on SmackDown between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, because I don't think that it was particularly very hype. I don't think that it was better than any of their promos from last year. I don't think that it created animosity, and they still involved other players in this segment like Jay, like Solo, like Jey Uso and Seth Rollins. So again, we're back to building other things that isn't the night two main event. So I don't think that it's the worst built main event in WrestleMania history, because I would say something like Undertaker versus Roman Reigns is up there, and even John Cena versus The Miz was also very poorly built because it just focused on the feud between John Cena and The Rock. But this needs better tender love and care. It cannot just live off of the hype of the night one main event. Not a big fan of Triple H's long-term storytelling for every single story in the WWE. Some stories benefit from having a quick pace. Additionally, due to long storylines, it creates an issue where some championship reigns are unnecessarily long and take away opportunities from others. I think that's a very well-worded thought, because it is true. When you get to the point where so many championship reigns are historic, it gets to the point where they're not historic anymore. It just becomes the norm as opposed to the exception. And when you have that many long championship reigns, it does by proxy also remove opportunities from other people that could really benefit from winning these mid-card titles. Hell, it doesn't have to be mid-card titles. People can really obviously benefit from winning things like the tag titles, winning main world titles as well, but it becomes really difficult when all these championship reigns are 1 to 2 years long. I agree that there is a portion of wrestling that can really benefit from quick, fast-paced storytelling, and I think that we need to find this happy medium where we are having these long, drawn-out storylines that have different chapters to them that can take multiple years, like what they're doing with the Bloodline storyline, but also at the same time having something else that is a bit more quick and fast-paced, something a little bit more easily digestible, which is what I thought that they were going to do with the World Heavyweight Championship. I thought that that was going to be the 6-month title reign title where we can get multiple people at the top of the card, but that just became another part of the wheel that Triple H is creating of long-term storytelling, which did create a lot of fan frustration, because we thought that the World Heavyweight title was finally going to be the title to give people like Nakamura, like Finn Balor, the opportunity to be a top champion on a show like Monday Night Raw, but it just hasn't been the case. So I completely agree with what you're saying here. The Cody and Roman segment was not as good as it should have been. Cody's promo was not that good. I actually agree with you. I already kind of talked about this, how I felt like, I still feel like they added too many of the elements from night one to hype up night two. Like, they talked too much about The Rock, Seth Rollins getting in there and being involved with the Avengers moment. I really felt like it was unnecessary. But then you also look at the actual substance of what Cody and Roman were saying, and the substance nonsense just felt very surface level and wasn't as deep cutting as to what they were saying to each other at last year's WrestleMania, because they were talking about how Roman was the chosen one. It took him forever to finally work. It was about Cody Rhodes failing everything, failing with Stardust and running away, failing with AEW and running away. All of these things that they were saying to each other in the lead up to WrestleMania 39 just felt a lot more a little bit more than it has been in this year's buildup. AJ Styles would be another Shelton Benjamin case if he signed to WWE in 2002. I absolutely 100% agree with you, which is why I'm glad that AJ Styles stayed in TNA as long as he did and continued to build his star power outside of the WWE, because he was the prototypical guy that they would have used for cool spots in the WWE back in the Ruthless Aggression era and into the PG era. But in TNA, he got to demonstrate that he can carry a company, that he can be a main eventer, and then he did it all in New Japan as well, in Ring of Honor, etc. And by the time he was able to come to the WWE, he had this awesome resume to demonstrate that he's just not just a spot machine. So I agree with you here. I think Gable still belongs in the Sammy versus Gunther match, but if he doesn't get inserted into the Mania match, then Gable will win either SummerSlam or Bash in Berlin to finally take the crown from Gunther. I do think that Gable is going to somehow play a factor into the Sami Zayn Gunther match. Either maybe he plays the Rocky character to Sami Zayn's Adonis Creed or something like that, where he's the one that's training up Sami Zayn to finally defeat Gunther. But I don't see him being randomly inserted and making this into a triple threat. I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope that I'm wrong, because the WWE has done such a great job of making me want Gable to be the one to dethrone Gunther. So let's pretend that Gunther does beat Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. I think that we can revisit the Gable storyline. And yeah, I would love for Gable to be the one to finally dethrone Gunther, because the WWE has given Gable the best story and the best narrative to be the one to finally do it. WrestleMania 40 has the potential to be one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time. I agree with you, and I think it's going to get topped at next year's WrestleMania if everyone can stay healthy, because WrestleMania 40 was gearing up to look even better than what it currently is, with the likes of CM Punk really helping shift and create some really awesome fantasy bookings for the WrestleMania main events. The WWE has done a fantastic job of pivoting away from his injury and still making a fantastic card, but just imagine what this card would look like with CM Punk in there. It would just look absolutely delightful. It would look amazing. That's why I think that they're going to top it even at WrestleMania 41. But as it stands right now, WrestleMania 40 on paper looks to be the greatest WrestleMania of all time. The WrestleMania Night 1 tag match is going to suck. Rock is going to be gassed after his entrance, and the whole match is just going to be taunts. Look, I'll just say, go back and watch Rock versus Hogan. It doesn't have to be this athletic showcase for it to still be a super hype WrestleMania match. It can just be taunts. It can just rely on nostalgia. It just has to get the crowd feverish and get the crowd to care about the things that they're doing. Because a Rock versus Hogan matchup where these guys are barely doing anything special beyond just a couple of arm drags and a couple of stomps here or there, some punches or some leg drops. It didn't really build up to this crazy technical match, but the crowd was fever pitch. If they can replicate that with the Night 1 main event, it doesn't need to be this technical showcase. Now, here's the thing. Yes, Rock is in there, and Rock is not in the same level of shape, wrestling shape, I should say, as the three other guys that are in the ring. But he's also only 25% of the competitors. This match could do two things. It could be really athletically fantastic between the people like Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Cody Rhodes, but then also be super hype and really create a lot of buzz from nostalgia because of The Rock. You combine those two, boom, you could have a super hype Night 1 main event. Jade Cargill will be interrupted in her promo next week, and it will set up a WrestleMania feud. God, I hope so. At this point, I just wanted to be something, anything for Jade Cargill at WrestleMania. Frankly, I think it should just be Tiffany Stratton, and I don't think it should be a squash match. I hope it's a good competitive match between Tiffy Time as well as Jade Cargill. But like when I look at the landscape of the women that are available to potentially challenge Jade Cargill, I feel like it should be Tiffany Stratton. The OC showed that they still have potential to be a good tag team in the WWE, but Triple H is wasting them. I'm gonna change up what you're saying here because I kind of agree with you, but it's Carl Anderson has shown that he still has potential to be a good singles competitor, but WWE and Triple H is wasting him. I really think that, and no disrespect to him, that Gallows is holding back Anderson. Anderson is so clean, so crisp. He looks fantastic in the ring when he's going at full speed, but all of his matches at some point slow down to a crawl when he tags in Gallows. So I personally would love to see Carl Anderson have a singles mid-card run in the WWE because I think he could cook. If Finn Balor didn't get injured in SummerSlam 2016, he would have had an amazing run as a Universal Champion. Yeah, he probably would have. So my question is, would he have been fed to Goldberg? Because the person that ended up winning the vacant Universal Championship ended up being Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens had a pretty fun run with the championship, but then got fed to Goldberg in a pretty fun squash match, but it was a squash match. Would they have done the same thing to Finn Balor? I'm curious. Let me know. Jade Cargill being signed to SmackDown was a bad idea. With Raw moving to Netflix, they need some more star power on that show to make it more interesting. Yeah, but the Netflix deal doesn't start for another year. I think it's fine that she's on SmackDown. Personally, I think the problem isn't the show that she's on because of, you know, what networks or what streaming platform has rights to Raw or SmackDown. I think the problem is that SmackDown got Jade Cargill, it got Braun Breaker, it got Naomi, it also got Tiffany Stratton as well. That's 4 new hype new faces in the WWE on a 2-hour show where people were already struggling to get on. So I am curious why didn't they split those a bit better, because Raw has 3 hours. So I don't know. I personally would have had them split up a bit better so that all 4 new faces aren't on the show with a smaller runtime. Logan Paul is the greatest United States champion after Cena's reign during 2015's. I kind of agree. The security guards for Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly at Stand and Deliver have more star power than the actual 2 competitors. Hold up, I gotta look this up. All right, so I found the photo and holy smokes, man. I see Braun Breaker there. I see Julius Creed. I see Von Wagner. I'm assuming that's also the other Creed brother. There's Trick Willie. Trick Williams is also in here. By the way, Brutus Creed. I didn't want to disrespect them like that. But yeah, I mean, like from here, I see 3 future world champions in Braun Breaker, Trick Williams, and Julius Creed. So I think you're right. That's wild. Thank you for mentioning that. I didn't know that that photo existed. The new Catch Republic hurts both Tyler Bate and Butch. It seems to diminish both characters. So I would have initially agreed with you, but now I've changed my tune and I don't, because I look at them as individuals. I look at Butch and I look at Tyler Bate, and I think that by themselves right now, they disappear. I think they end up pulling Cameron Grimes on both of these guys and they barely get any TV time. But you put them together in a division that doesn't have too many tag teams on SmackDown, and you give them an identity of this new Catch Republic, this British strong style, I think it works. And I think it also sets them up for them to have singles careers afterwards with the inevitable breakup and inevitable fantastic feud that they'll have with one another. I just think that in their, Butch was already there as Butch for a while, but he was part of a faction and he was a non-speaking member of that faction. So I do feel like Tyler Bate as well as Pete Dunne, in my eyes, they're both brand new to the main roster. I really think that they need to build some hype together as a unit as opposed to individuals where I feel like they would just be treading water. The Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal should go back to WrestleMania. Why? Like, aside from it giving people an opportunity to appear on WrestleMania, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal means jack shit ever since Cesaro won it. And in retrospect, that also meant jack shit. We just thought that it was going to mean something because we thought that that was finally going to be the push of somebody like Cesaro, but it didn't end up being the case. Listen, like the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal is cool. It's fine, but for it to have a spot on WrestleMania, I'd rather have a match that showcases less people, but is a better match overall. All right, folks, that's the video. Let me know your hot takes down below as well, but that's it. I'm done. Get out of here.